Well, my parents came over in the early 50s, the first bunch of immigrant Pacific Islanders to come to Aotearoa, New Zealand. And we first lived in Newton, which is the other side of Ponsonby here, down the end of Ponsonby Road. Then we moved into Ponsonby in about 1960 when my father died. My mum brought us up in a house in Summer Street, just down the road there. We were Pacific Islanders in our homes. The culture, the language, that was my first language, Niue Island. That was all Pacific, but when we come out to Ponsonby, when we come out into the world, when we come out into the schools, everything was English, monocultural, and we were to keep our culture, you know, back then. We had to learn the European way, which was fine, but you know, when your soul is getting taken out of you, because that's what Ponsonby was like back then, a lot of soul, Pacific, a mix, because like I was saying, in the 70s there you had European students, and they chose Ponsonby because of the low-cost housing, and the low-cost housing was just right for my people because, you know, low-cost housing is like that. At the same time, the low-cost housing in Ponsonby, rat-infested, wallpapers peeling, damp, wet, and that's the kind of homes my people raised us in. Now, in my teenage years, because of the outside influence, and one of those main ones, of course, at that time, was the Black Panthers of America. We looked at them and copied them and their ways as a means of us surviving in a monocultural society with poor housing, not much of a future. The factory was our future, more or less, because we were brought over here, our parents were brought over here for cheap labour. Once cheap labour's done and gone, then, you know, usually we're ousted. That applies to all immigrants. The monocultural system from back then has morphed into something more powerful now, and it's corporate and it's anti-people and anti-human, like this. Just how they shifted a lot of us brown people out to South Auckland, all right? The next influx to come in were yuppies. You remember that name? You remember that word? And if you're from Ponsonby, you'll remember and go, ooh, yuppie. Right. Well, the yuppies moved in big time with heaps and bundles of money, and they bought up all the old houses that my people used to live in, and they've done them up, and now they're about 1 point something mil, totally out of our reach, totally, you know, out of reach of any New Zealander, normal, straight Auckland City New Zealander, I would say. So where's all this money coming from? Well, anyway, this is what Ponsonby is like now. You have to fit into the culture and all the rest of it, but unknowingly it's already built on that kind of culture from back there in the 70s. And you can feel a lot of it still today. Back then on a Friday night you'll have the glue pot over here, and that was, because I'm a musician too, by the way, that was the place where if any musician in New Zealand, in Auckland and Aotearoa wanted to prove him or herself or say they've made it, they had to play at the glue pot, right? So when all the yuppies and, you know, the changes in Ponsonby finally came around, they did away with the glue pot. They did away with it. So us musos, because Greyland, Ponsonby, inner city has always been full of artistic people. That's the culture that I'm talking about. That came about because poor people first came here and made it a lively, vibrant place.